Hi, hello. It's Friday. 星期五啦已經。So, I will tell you I have less than a week left in the States. 咁我會話俾你知咧，我其實唔會停留喺美國呢個地方超過一個禮拜啦。係啦，咁總之咧，下個星期我會離開美國。So I'm going to leave the States next week. Many things are going on. 咁有好多嘢發生緊啦。咁I was a bit disappointed, but then I got really excited. 我本身其實有啲失望啦，咁但係跟住我而家就好興奮啦。咁 So I've been doing a lot of research these 2 days again. 咁我又重新再睇即係有啲乜嘢嘅地方可以去啊。咁So trying to find a new home, sort of. 咁想揾個新嘅屋企啦，所謂咁樣。And realize there are actually quite a lot of choices. 佢發現原來都有幾多選擇嘅咁樣。So we'll see. 咁我哋係啦，跟住睇下點啦咁。And yeah, I think it is it's a very interesting journey. 我覺得都係一個幾有趣嘅經驗嚟嘅。It's not always glory. 唔係經常都即係開心嘅，不過但係there's a lot of growth, definitely. 咁有好多成長係真嘅 ，a lot of realization 有好多發現啦。A lot of understanding 有好多了解啦。So yeah, we'll see. 咁我哋就睇下點啦。係啦，天跌落嚟當被冚。The Hong Kong saying would be, if the sky fall, then we'll just use it as a blanket. So that's my attitude now. 咁係咯，咁我而家就會採取呢個態度啦，咁樣。All right then, so let's begin our reading. 咁我哋正式開始啦。Read to Resist, Day 182. 當閱讀也是抗爭，第182日。A Concise History of Hong Kong by John Carroll. 香港簡史，從殖民地至特別行政區。著者高馬可，譯者林立偉。The Second Opium War. In the midst of this uncertainty and insecurity, Hong Kong became embroiled in another war between Britain and China. Most historians have focused on the Second Opium War primarily as yet another Sino-British conflict or on the war's effects on Hong Kong. However, both the war and its local repercussions were shaped not only by developments in Hong Kong and China, but also by global events that affected the British Empire. The underlying cause of the war was that the Treaty of Nanking had not given the British all they wanted, whereas from the Qing point of view, it had conceded too much. Britain hoped the treaty would lead to more treaties that would eventually open China to foreign trade, primarily for the benefit of Britain, but also for China and the world. For the Qing, the treaty was simply a way to keep the foreigners at bay. The treaty had not produced the boom in trade that the British had expected and had left too many issues unresolved. Throughout the 1850s, Sino-British relations were plagued by the Canton question. The English text of the treaty gave the British the right to enter the city of Canton, but the Chinese text restricted them to its port. Not only did the treaty not grant the British diplomatic residence in the capital at Beijing, but British officials did not have direct access to Chinese officials in Canton. 第二次鴉片戰爭，在一片風雨飄搖和政律不安中，香港陷入英中兩國的另一場戰爭。大多數歷史學家研究第二次鴉片戰爭時，要不是主要視之為另一場中英衝突，就是集中探討這場戰爭對香港的影響。然而，形塑這場戰爭以及它對香港所產生的後果的，不只是香港和中國的發展，還有影響大英帝國的全球事件。這場戰爭的根本原因 是南京條約沒有給予英國人他們想要的全部東西，而從清政府的角度看，則是該條約讓步太多。英國希望繼南京條約後能簽訂更多條約，最終開放全中國，讓外國通商。這主要是為了英國的利益，但同時也能令中國和世界受惠。對清廷而言，該條約只是譏媚外國人的手段。南京條約沒有像英國人所期望那樣令貿易蓬勃發展，反而造成很多懸而未決的問題。在整個1850年代，中英關係被廣州問題所困擾。根據南京條約英文本，英國人可進入廣州城，但中文本卻限制他們只能住在港口。該條約不但沒有賦予英國外交人員駐設首都北京的權利，英國官員也無法直接與廣州的中國官員會面。Although it is not true, as it is often claimed, that the treaty did not even mention opium, Article 4 stipulated that the Emperor of China agrees to pay the sum of $6 million as the value of opium, which was delivered up at Canton in the month of March 1839. The treaty did not discuss the opium trade or its legality. Furthermore, the treaty made no provision for future revisions, because the Treaty of Huangxia, signed between the United States and China in 1844, included provision for revisions in 12 years. The British hoped that they might use the most favored nation clause in the Treaty of Nanking to push for revisions. Most important, Britain's global position depended on opium. Britain used the revenue from the opium trade to buy tea and silk from China and to support the occupation of India. Chinese merchants used the profits from tea and silk to buy opium from British traders. Indian producers used revenues from opium to buy British goods, and British merchants used the profits from selling British goods to buy cotton from the United States. The sale of Indian opium to China, writes historian J.Y. Wong, was a great link in the chain of commerce with which Britain had surrounded the world. Thus, in 1854, the British requested more concessions, including the legalization of the opium trade, the freedom to sail and trade on the Yangtze River, and the right to diplomatic representation in Beijing. 常有人說，南京條約沒有提及鴉片，這並不真確。條約第4款說，因大清欽差大憲等於道光19年2月間，經將大英國領事館及文人等強留粵省，刻意死罪，殺出鴉片以為贖命。今大皇帝准以洋銀600萬元補償原價，但條約沒有說到鴉片貿易，也沒有論及其合法與否。此外，條約沒有定明日後可以收約。由於美國和中國在1844年簽訂的望夏條約內有12年後可以收約的條款，英國人希望援引南京條約的最惠國條款要求收約。最重要的是，英國依賴鴉片來維持其全球地位。英國以來自鴉片貿易的收入購買中國的茶、絲，並資助佔領印度所需經費。中國商人用售賣茶和絲所得利潤向英國商人購買鴉片，印度製造商則以向中國銷售鴉片所得收入向美國購買棉花。歷史學家王宇和寫道，向中國銷售印度鴉片是英國遍及全球的商貿鏈的重要一環。因此，英國人在1854年要求更多權益，包括鴉片持禁，在長江至航行和從事貿易，以及外交官員駐節北京。So, this is the end of today's reading. 咁今日就係讀呢兩段啦。 So it talks about like a little bit of the background of the Second Opium War. 咁其實咧開始講緊第二次鴉片戰爭嘅少少背景啦 ，and how actually the Treaty of Nanking is not satisfactory for both parties actually. 咁同埋就講緊即係其實南京條約其實原來兩邊其實都覺得佢係唔夠好啦咁樣樣。Although like it has always been known from our history that the Treaty of Nanking is the unequal treaty。咁即係但係當然啦，我哋讀歷史嘅時候，南京條約就係即係不平等條約咁樣樣啦。咁 Now this is very interesting in a way。咁我覺得咧都幾有趣嘅。When we look at how countries and countries relate with each other。當我哋睇下即係而家即係全球啦，講緊國家同國家之間嘅關係啦 ，international relationships， 我哋講緊國際關係嘅時候咧 ，it has always been about like power and inequality，right？ 其實永遠都係同權力有關㗎，其實永遠都唔平等㗎。Even like bilateral treaties， 就算你講緊雙邊關係都好啦 ，there's always like one party，would have more power over the other。其實永遠都會一定有一邊咧係會有多啲權力嘅，即係相對於另一邊咁樣樣。I think it's very rare that they can be sort of like equal and balanced。我覺得極少係可以平等或者係平衡到嘅咯咁。Then of course as time change, then the power relation might change as well。咁當然啦，即係時間過去嘅時候，權力關係都可能有改變，都係真嘅咁樣。That goes back to like why on the one hand international community would say we respect the sovereignty of the countries of the states。咁所以我哋翻返去就係講，雖然即係喺國際社會成日都會講，我哋會尊重另一個國家嘅主權啦，即係咁樣。And it's also like always the excuse of China using it against other countries, you know。咁亦都係即係中國經常引用嘅嘢，就係你唔可以干預我哋嘅即係啦內部嘅事務啦咁樣樣。But at the same time，咁但係其實同一時間咧 ，these kinds of international treaties and conventions and agreements， 咁但係其實同一時間呢啲國際嘅條約啊、合約啊、國際關係佢哋即係之間嘅一啲嘅協議啊呢啲咧，have a lot to do with like local politics， 其實係同本地嘅政策啊、政治都係好有關係嘅。So in a way， 其實我覺得咧。When people say or talk about like internal affairs or you know like respecting the sovereignty of the country， 所以其實當即係喺國際關係嘅層面，佢哋去講要尊重即係國家主權啊，又或者係即係我哋唔好去干預人哋啲內務嘅時候咧 ，I think mainly is actually talking about no invasion。其實主要都係講緊你唔可以去侵略其他國家咯。Because before the World War II， 其實喺二次世界大戰即係完之前啦，咁樣 war is not a crime like on an international level。戰爭其實唔係一個即係國際嘅一個罪行嚟嘅。So it's custom actually like for centuries that you know countries would just invade another country and take more land, or you know when they see fit that they want the port or they want that natural resources, you know。 咁其實就係點解即係二戰咁重要？即係喺近代史啦，即係對於我哋呢一代人嚟講，就係因為二次世界大戰之後首次喺國際嘅層面上面咧宣布即係開火去打人、去侵略人哋嘅國家係犯法嘅，係犯國際法嘅咁樣。因為以前根本就係即係自古以來，大家都係見地就搶，我即係你嗰度有資源我冇，我就去侵略你啊咁樣樣就。And that's why like there have been so many wars, you know, and the history of the world is actually quite bloody。咁所以其實係點解即係世界歷史本身就係用血嚟寫成㗎啦咁樣樣。Like after the First World War， the League of Nations sort of failed in its mission to kind of like help with world peace。咁其實喺第一次世界大戰之後咧，已經有一個叫 League of Nations 嘅東西，就係呢個聯合國嘅前身啦，咁樣樣。咁本身都應該係想維持世界和平，咁但係佢就失敗咗啦，咁樣樣。So when after the Second World War， 咁所以第二次世界大戰之後咧 ，with the shock of the Holocaust， 咁就係即係哇，即係希特拉搞緊咁嘅嘢出嚟嘅時候咧，咁大家先至真係好啦，我哋認真啲啦，咁樣樣就搞聯合國，就係即係認真就列明就係侵略其他國家。就係即係犯法嘅咁樣樣，就係即係國際唔容許噶啦，而家咁樣。And so like I think like with that background, when we read about sovereignty, we have to understand that。咁所以我覺得係要有呢個背景，我哋去即係去解讀嗰個所謂嘅即係尊重主權嘅呢樣嘢，就係要有呢個理解啦咁樣樣。But of course, like international communities cannot and should not sort of like interfere with the jurisdiction of another countries. Like they shouldn't interfere with how things are done or with the election or that sort of thing。咁當然啦，其實即係講緊即係嗰個干預內務，當然都係包括即係國際社會唔應該去干預，譬如即係嗰個國家裏面嘅政策，佢譬如點樣搞選舉啊呢啲咁樣嘅嘢啦咁。But at the same time， 咁但係同一時間咧 ，there are so many other international treaties and conventions that actually monitors how a regime should govern their people。咁但係其實同一時間咧，好多國際條約其實都講緊係一個嘅政權係應該點樣去管治或者管理佢哋自己嘅國家，即係有一啲準則嘅。So this includes like human rights, of course。咁當然即係包括就係即係人權嘅基準啊呢啲咁樣樣啦咁。So I think like there is this sort of interesting point about sovereignty。咁所以我覺得其實係即係當我哋講主權啦，或者干預人哋嘅內政嘅時候咧，呢個點其實都值得去深思同埋討論嘅咁樣啦。So this is it for today。咁我哋今日就讀到呢度啦。And tomorrow we'll continue to read to resist, and it would be the 6-month half a year mark of the project。咁聽日我哋會繼續閱讀也是抗爭啦，亦都係呢一個 project 嘅半年嘅紀念日啦，咁樣樣。咁yeah，so see you again tomorrow。Bye。